Welcome to Daily Papers, the podcast where we break down cutting-edge research into a conversation you can actually follow.
Today, we're looking at a paper that sounds like it's straight out of science fiction. Imagine an AI that doesn't just analyze data, but actually comes up with scientific theories, designs the experiments to test them, recruits real human participants online, and then figures out what it all means.
It's basically an AI scientist in a box. The paper is called Auto-psych, Automating the Science of Mind Using Agent-Driven Theory Discovery and Experimentation, and it comes from a team at Stanford University.
So, to test this idea of an automated scientist, they needed a good, classic problem from psychology. And they picked a great one, something we've all probably thought about.
It's all about coin flips. Let me ask you, which of these two sequences of 8 coin flips seems more random? Sequence 1 is heads, tails, heads, tails, heads, tails, heads, tails.
Okay, that perfect alternating pattern. HT, 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 HT.
Exactly. Now, sequence 2, heads, tails, tails, heads, heads, tails, heads, heads.
The second one, HTTHF, HTH, definitely feels more random. The first one is just too perfect, too patterned.
Most people would agree with you, but here's the fun part. If you're flipping a fair coin, both of those sequences are equally likely to happen. The odds are exactly the same. So why does our brains scream that one is random and the other is a setup?
That's the big question. It's a classic problem in what's called cognitive science, the field that tries to understand the processes of the mind. And it's the perfect test for their AI system, which they named auto-psych.
So let's get into how auto-psych actually works. The authors describe it as having 2 loops, one nested inside the other. Think of it like a big, strategic outer loop and a fast, tactical inner loop.
The outer loop is like the head scientist. It looks at the big picture. First, an AI agent, which is based on a large language model, proposes a few different theories about how humans judge randomness. These theories are basically little computer programs that try to mimic human thinking.
Then, this head scientist designs an experiment, and it's very clever about it. It doesn't just pick any 2 coin flip sequences. It generates hundreds of possible pairs and then specifically chooses the ones that will be most useful for telling the different theories apart.
It's looking for the coin flips that will cause the most disagreement among its current theories. Once it has its questions, the outer loop actually goes online, builds the experiment, and recruits real people from a platform called Prolific to participate.
It collects the data and then passes it down to the inner loop. Right, and this is where the inner loop, our fast tactical team, takes over. This team's job is to rapidly improve the theories based on the brand new data.
It works like this. One AI agent, let's call it the critic, looks at the best current theory and compares its predictions to what the real humans did. The critic's job is to find all the ways the theory is bad. It might say, hey, this theory is really bad at predicting how people will judge sequences with long streaks of heads.
Then another AI agent, the theorist, takes that criticism and tries to fix the problem. It will tweak the existing theory or even write a totally new one from scratch to account for that specific mistake. This happens a couple of times really fast to refine the theories.
And once that inner loop is done, the best newly improved theory gets passed back to the outer loop, the head scientist, which then designs a whole new experiment to test it again. This entire cycle repeats, getting smarter and smarter each time.
Okay, so that's the setup, a completely automated loop of hypothesizing, experimenting, and refining. The big question is, did it work?
Well, first, they did a sanity check. They basically created a fake pretend human whose thought process they knew completely. They wanted to see if the auto-psych could successfully retro-engineer this known mind. And it did. It reliably figured out the correct underlying theory.
That's a great first step. It shows the system isn't just guessing, but the real test is with actual, messy, unpredictable humans.
And that's what they did next. They ran the system for real 3 separate times, each time starting with a few well-known theories of randomness from the psychology literature. And in all 3 runs, the system discovered new theories that were significantly better at explaining the human data than the ones they started with.
So the AI scientist actually outperformed the existing human-generated theories from the literature, at least on this specific task. What did its best theory actually say?
The winning model was something called a Minkowski typicality model. That sounds complicated, but the idea is simple. It suggests that our brain has a mental prototype of what a perfectly random sequence looks like, probably something with a perfect 50-50 balance of heads and tails and a lot of switching back and forth.
So we judge how random a new sequence is by comparing it to that ideal prototype in our head. The further away it is, the less random it feels.
Exactly, and the AI model found a very specific and slightly better mathematical way to measure that distance from the prototype, which is why it was more accurate than previous models.
This is pretty incredible. We're talking about a proof of concept that shows AI can automate the entire scientific workflow in a field like psychology. It's not just crunching numbers, it's doing the creative work of generating and testing ideas.
It really is, and the paper ends with discussing the promise and the perils of this kind of technology. The promise is obvious. We could accelerate our understanding of the human mind and many other scientific fields at a speed we've never seen before.
But what are the perils? What's the downside?
Well, if all scientists start using the same AI theorist, it could lead to a lack of new, out-of-the-box ideas, a kind of scientific groupthink. It could also lead to a flood of AI-generated papers that overwhelms our ability to check and review them, and there's a fear it could de-skill human scientists, who might lose the ability to do this kind of work themselves.
So the authors aren't suggesting we fire all the scientists and let the AI take over.
Not at all. They see it more as the next step in scientific tools. Just like calculators and computers raised the level of abstraction for scientists in the past, maybe these AI systems can handle the tedious work of iterating on theories, freeing up human researchers to think about the bigger, more creative questions.
It's a fascinating glimpse into what the future of doing science might look like. An AI research assistant that can run a whole project for you while you sleep.
And maybe, just maybe, help us finally figure out why our brains are so weird about coin flips.